Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burnettwork and Positive Fandom. Hope everybody is well. I am your host, Artem, and I certainly have had a very long day, a lot of streams today, but I absolutely had to do a short video on a film that I think definitely deserves some attention. At a time where we're seeing two amazing films essentially become the summer blockbusters, the Barbie film, which really has done incredibly well in the box office, and of course, Oppenheimer, another stellar film with clearly Oscar worthy performances. There's a third film, a third summer blockbuster that I had no idea would be a blockbuster, but certainly is a blockbuster because the film cost $14 million to make and has made over $100 million. And any way you add that up, it's a huge success. Certainly, any film that can do that is amazing. And of course, the film that I am talking about, everybody, is a film called The Sound of Freedom. Um, this film, and I just want to wait for this video thing to stop doing its thing. Stars Jim Caviezel. I know I'm pronouncing his name wrong. And it has to do with child sex trafficking. And it is a very touchy subject. It is a subject that many people, thank you, Phil. Thank you, Phil. Thanks so much, Phil. Phil Essett says that the current total is 124,433,512. Thank you so much, Phil, for the kind, for throwing that in there. Certainly, it is something to think about. Why am I even thinking about this film? Well, to be honest with you, I saw the film quite early on when it first came out. I saw it and I was very emotionally moved by the film. It is a thorny topic, and certainly it's not an easy film to watch. And there are moments in the film that are heartbreaking. And the film is meant to bring light to something that is heartbreaking in itself. And that is bondage, human bondage, essentially, where we have a character, and this is a dramatization of the actual story. It's not exactly how it occurred, but it is an incredible dramatization of a story inspired by real life events of a special forces or operator played by Jim, who goes ahead and rescues a child from this horrible child trafficking situation. And certainly, here's one of the actors. The film starts off where, and I kind of think something. Thank you so much, Gator. Gator J says thought it was good. Yeah, it's a good film. It is a heavy subject, and certainly I'm glad they brought attention to it here where I live in New York. They've talked about this topic. It is a heavy topic, and how certain areas in New York are known for trafficking, human trafficking, and what an issue it is. And this poor little fellow, yes, it is good and emotional, Jose. This poor little fellow here, who we're seeing in the picture, gets kidnapped along with his sister, I believe. This father, this is not a spoiler. The film is about fighting human trafficking, and in the story, he's such a sweet little fellow. He plays, unfortunately, a character that's victimized, and I just thought he was such a wonderful actor in this role. And somehow he gets rescued, and he asks or mentions to the character, this man, that his sister is also missing. And so he goes out and he does everything he can to find this girl. And there was a lot of elements in the story. This is actually the father there, who comes back looking for his children. They were supposed to be going to some kind of a talent search or acting search and they were tricked and duped. And one of the eeriest and scariest parts of the film, I think, is in the beginning of the film where they show you what looks like it might be actual abductions of children. And it is terrifying to watch this. And the kids are just there and someone grabs them and they're gone. And it is so terrifying. It's so scary. But I wanted to bring attention to the film because I think bringing attention to this plight is important. And I hope that this film can make a difference and bring attention to something that a lot of people are currently fighting against this and trying to save so many young lives. Well, in the story, we can see there's the father kind of in this room where earlier in the day, yeah, certainly no, Gator J, I understand it's not easy to watch it. And you know, many films are like that. There's nothing wrong with a film being like that. It's not an easy film to watch. It is a very emotional subject. And Gator J, I understand, you know, not being able to see it more than once. But Gator J, certainly it is a popular film. I don't know how many screens it's playing on, but it is doing very well with this bankroll. And earlier today, I was talking about how well Barbie and Oppenheimer were doing, and how that campaign of the two of them together, which was something that I would never do personally, seemed to work. It's worked tremendously. There are people who are not only going to see both films at the same time, like Tom Cruise did, but they're buying merchandise and things like that. Thank you, Phil. You are a godsend, aren't you, Phil? Thank you so much for that. Says that it's 3,285 screens currently, and that's a good number of screens. Certainly, I'm glad to see that. And I have a feeling that a lot of theater owners are going to try and keep it in there because it's making money, guys. This film is making money. Perhaps a different type of summer blockbuster. Barbie was a different type of summer blockbuster, right? And hello, Darth Plato. Very different. Yes, Barbie was very different. That's for one, you know, one type of film. And then we have Oppenheimer, very different type of film. Now we have this film, The Sound of Freedom, another very different type of film, right? And I started to think about the notion of the types of films that we're seeing these days. And many years ago, there would be movies like this that you could go and see. And I think it's interesting in a sense because, I can't see your comment. I didn't mean to do that. Why do I think it's interesting? Well, mainly because it's been such a very interesting few years where the box office has seemed to suffer. And I'm hoping, Phil, and I'm hoping everybody who's here, I'm hoping this is a sign that if even The Sound of Freedom can do well in the box office, that it means that things will turn around. Now, Jose is talking about how MI7, yeah, it's a good movie. Yes. But did Sound of Freedom and Barbie take away? Well, I don't think so, Jose. I think people are still going to see MI7. And the reason why I am saying that people will still see MI7 is because over the weekend, I got a lot of messages from friends who told me, well, you know something? Barbie isn't exactly a film that I would go see, and that's fair. It's fair, when you have to pick just one, let's say, and perhaps Oppenheimer was not anything they were interested in. What are the options? There's nothing wrong with having 6 or 7 films to choose from this summer. And I think there is enough box office receipts and things, money to go around for people to see something like Sound of Freedom or to see MI7. I think MI7 is going to continue in the box office. But it's starting to feel like the summers that we used to know where there would be very interesting films that you could see. And to be honest with you, I'm hoping that this shows that things are going to turn around for all these theater owners, for the industry. And it doesn't feel like that right now because there's this strike that's going on, and it's very hard to think about things in a normal way, knowing when so many people's lives have been altered. And I talked about this a few hours ago, and I do support everyone who is going through this. This is a difficult time for them. But I'm also hoping some of these films will perform well, just like this one did, going forward. And I'm trying to show support for it, mainly because I was so impressed with how the story was told. Now, I do want to mention some things about the story. Um, uh, no, it's not artificially. When you say artificially inflated, do you mean in what way? Mordecai. For me, I thought it was a wonderful film. It is an independent film, and I love the way they made this film. And one of the reasons why I love the film was because the main character, and obviously this is a casual photo. That's not during. It might be during filming, but that's just some shots during filming. Remember, guys, this is the first independent film, and maybe Islet. I don't know, Phil. Phil, do you know? Have you heard? They are saying this is the first independent film that has made $100 million like this in 3 weeks. Phil, is that true? Did you hear about that? Phil says you could hear a pin drop at the showing I attended. People applauded at the end, and I'm not surprised by that because it's a quality film, everybody. It's a quality film. This is a good film. And it's not perfect. It is an independent film, and there's a lot of independent films out there. Yes, I understand. And Jose, there are a lot of us who are in the situation where you can't go and see something because of the amount it costs. Sometimes I've gone to some matinees for 50% off tickets. I've done that, Jose, just to save some money. So I understand how that feels too. Budgets are tight. And hello, Tom. How are you today? I hope you're well, Tom. And so, when I think about this film as an independent film to make this much money, it is remarkable. It's a remarkable film with a remarkable message. Now, the acting in the film was wonderful, and there are some parts in the film where the main character played by Jim, he is a operator, which means he's like specially trained at maybe a SEAL or a ranger. Some of those, I don't know all the people who are, like SOCOM guys. He's an operator, and therefore he does have special skills to get him through. But this film was also very scary. And yes, Mordecai, this is exactly, yes, it is remarkable, isn't it, that it did make that much. And hello, Mike Popcorn Porter, how are you? Hope you're well. Yes, and Andrew K brings out a good point. It is based on a true story, but it is not the exact detailed story. It is a dramatization. And Dinner Bells, I'm not going to read the whole thing out there. And I heard that people have been saying that they're not going to see it, but Dinner Bells, people must be seeing it if it has made $124 million. People are going to see it in droves. So despite that claim, it hasn't kept people away from seeing the film, right? And it is a tear jerker, meaning that it is an emotional film. It's a film that's meant to touch you and meant to tell its story. It's a dramatized story, of course, and it's meant to affect you emotionally. But I'm just so in praise of it because it's an independent film that has made it. We're always talking about what's the future of cinema? Where is it going? Well, guess what? This is one of those independent films that has hit it out of the park. Despite everything, right, everyone? Despite everything, this film has made a bunch of money, and they're going to be able to make a few more films. They're going to be able to pay people. I'm just so happy for that. And guys, this is my YouTube channel at RM on Positive Fandom, guys. So please do like and subscribe. Yes. People have been saying that, Dinner Bells. Yeah. Maybe. But let's put it into perspective. And I was looking at it from the point of view that if you spent $14 million to make a film and then the film makes $124 million, that is quite a quite an amount of money to make off of a $14 million film. It's an independent film, and Indie and Barbie and some of these other films are not independent. So this is an independent film. It's a very different way that this film was made. And some of the filming, to be honest with you, was terrifying. There were some scenes in it where I didn't think that the main character was going to make it out. And I was not expecting to watch a film where I thought, even for a minute, that there was even a chance that he wasn't going to make it. I wasn't expecting that. But this film has that in it. All right. And there you can see the main character after having rescued this child. And Tom says he wants to see it. Yeah. And thanks for sharing that, Mike. Thanks for sharing. You know, you guys all have good comments here. I've seen it. It's a very important movie, and entertained and made its point. No matter what the backlash is, think of what the subject matter is and how important it is. That is very true. That is very true. And I also do understand that sometimes this film can be too emotional and upsetting because the film is of an upsetting nature. And thank you for mentioning that, Mike, the popcorn porter. Oh, yes. Phil talks about the cinematography and the music. And Phil, it is amazing what can be done in films like this. I think that for a film that costs $14 million, if we can get something that looks like this, then it certainly is worth it, isn't it, guys? And here you can see in this poster, like a chain is being broken, the chain of bondage. I was hoping they would have a few more pictures. I don't know. Oh, there might only be 20 photos in this gallery. They may not have as many pictures as some of the other movies that are out. And it says an incredibly true story of a former government agent turned vigilante who embarks on a dangerous mission to rescue hundreds of children from sex traffickers. There were moments where the character, it looked like, as I said, it looked like he wasn't going to make it out. And I got very nervous. I got very scared for him. I said, what if he doesn't make it out? What if he doesn't survive this? Who's going to look after those kids? And what about his own family? Because the character himself has a family, and you can kind of see it here in the trailer. There's a picture of him with his wife. And they also are depending on him. And here's some of the cast here. Jim Caviezel. I'm saying his name wrong. I apologize, sir. I really apologize. Yeah, you will like it, Mordecai. You will like the film. Yeah, and this is something to think about. You know, sometimes these films, they'll go to Cannes and try and get someone to distribute the film, and they don't get picked up. So there's something else to think about. Now, Scott, is this Angel Studios as well? So they're doing an upcoming sci-fi flick called The Shift to be released in December. Thank you, Scott, for mentioning that. Thank you. Scott, I'm also looking forward to another film that they're doing, and I think it's about Mother Cabrini, isn't it? Is that Angel Studios as well? Let me just take a look here at Angel Studios really quick. I might be able to pull up some information about that. Here I have the cast. It stars Jim Caviezel, Mira Sorvino, Crystal Aparicio, who plays one of the children, and Lucas Avila, who plays the other one. Talented young actors. Jessica Boroto-Perriman, who plays one of the bad guys, I guess, one of the people who goes ahead and works with the traffickers. Jose Zuniga, and I'm so awful at pronouncing these names, and I apologize, was wonderful in this. He plays the father. And it is quite an emotional scene when he speaks to Tim Ballard, the Tim Ballard character, and says, I need to see my kids come home. And he sees Tim Ballard has a picture on his desk, and that whole thing. It certainly was something to think about. Yeah, Tom, it's been a while, right, Tom? Thank you so much, Scott Bartholomew, for answering my question. Um, so it's something to think about. Guys, please do hit the like and subscribe buttons here on the Burnettwork. And thank you, Tom, for supporting and being here as always. But I did want to talk about the film a little bit. It's called The Sound of Freedom, and it is a film about sex trafficking. And it's made to bring awareness of the topic. It's based on a true story of a man who liberated children from sex slavery. So this is a really important subject. I wondered what the film would be like. I wondered exactly how I would feel after seeing the film. And of course, it was incredibly emotional. As I said, the performances were amazing. And Phil earlier on said that the cinematography and music were also amazing. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a nomination for one or two things in this film, although I'm not quite sure what it would be. But certainly, I think it is wonderful that this film is doing well. And my intention here, at least especially, is looking at the notion of how well the box office seems to be doing now. Isn't it great that the box office seems like it is picking up a little bit? And we're getting those summer blockbusters. You remember summer blockbusters when we were kids, and there would be these movies that would just do phenomenally well? It feels like we're back to that. It feels like that's coming back. Johnny Gonzalez, hi Johnny, says it's a good movie. People just need to ignore all the noise around it and go and see it. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Scott. You knew that was the one I was talking about. Yes, they will be releasing Cabrini, guys, which for me, I love the Saints. I love anything to do with canonized saints stories, the nun story, all that stuff. I feel those are such important stories. I only get to see those on Turner Classic Movies every now and again. There are many foreign films of canonized saints that are also spectacular. And I'm excited to see what they're going to do with Cabrini. I think that's going to be groundbreaking, especially since they did such a wonderful job with this film. Let's see. And Mike, the popcorn talks about how this is, something, I'm happy to see that. And I think, at first I was very skeptical about the notion of Barbenheimer being a thing. And then I realized that the marketing is actually a good thing for the movies. It's great for the movies, isn't it, guys? He says, my theater was jumping all weekend. Barbie and Oppenheimer almost selling out. Mission Impossible and Sound of Freedom doing well in his theater. Even Indy is selling tickets. And that's what I like to hear. Yes. And Phil is giving us some history about how it was made years ago by Fox and then Disney, and it sat on the shelf and the makers purchased the rights back. And Angel stepped in several months ago for distribution. Thank goodness, right, everybody? So, yes, I am looking forward to Cabrini. I can't wait for that film to come out, Scott. And thank you for clarifying that. And I hope everybody here is enjoying their summer. Hope you're having a great summer. So, yes, this film has made $100 million. I think it's going to continue to make money this summer. I think by the end of the year, maybe it will make 200 million. I think I'm not trying to put a target price on it, but I think word of mouth will keep going and that people will see it. People will be impressed by it. It's obviously bringing awareness to what they wanted it to bring awareness to. Whew. And they mention here that the character has to go into jungles, literally the jungle, where there's really no place to escape in order to try and find the child. He really risks his life. I thought at that point and another point that he wasn't going to make it. And so I think it's a very interesting dynamic, because never did I think that I'd see a film like this where I didn't believe he couldn't make it out. We always see films where the person is trained, as an operator, and they make it out, for the most part. But I even got scared. There were moments where I was terrified for the character, and I wasn't expecting that. So, yes, it felt like it's an impossible situation. I think what the story also brings us. Yes, Brogu, good to see you, Brogu. I think what the story also gives us is hope, because sometimes it might feel like there is no like things are hopeless or there's no chance that we could get or rescue some of these children. And I think there is always hope for this to happen. I think God bless these individuals who are fighting to stop this horrible practice, going and risking their lives, trying to save innocent children from something that they should never have to be subjected to. So I just wanted to bring attention to it. I wanted to mention that I've seen the film. I think it's a spectacular film. And I don't remember, Scott. I'm going to go and see it again and see. Yeah, maybe he does. I don't remember. It's weird that I don't remember, right? I saw the film the first day it was released, so it's been a little while. They do give you a lot of information in the film. So I apologize for not knowing that he talks to you at the end of the film. Maybe somebody else remembers. Yes. Phil Isette says, thanks so much for devoting time to highlight this film. Would you share your channel information again, Artem? Yes, I will. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that third act. And I do want to, here's my channel. It's called Positive Fandom. And guys, you know, I stream on both Positive Fandom and on the Burnettwork. So you can catch me on both of those channels quite frequently. So just in case you're wondering, it's called Positive Fandom, guys. And I want to just briefly touch on what a comment that Andrew K talks about, very suspenseful in the third act. I was so terrified. It felt as if he was going to a point of no return. And it felt very real. It felt like you were going with this man and that you were going to be witnessing something that he wasn't going to be able to return from. So I'm just so glad he was able to get her out and that she's reunited with her father and brother and safe again. So I'm just really hoping that this inspires people to fight against this. So, oh, thank you, Popcorn Porter. Thanks, Mike. Popcorn Porter says thank you for the positive reviews, thoughts and reviews. It's very appreciated. Well, thank you. Thank you all for being here. And thank you for being part of this. Yes, Joe. Yeah, that's a legitimate thought. Loving your reviews. You are very fair. Hopefully the next film. Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness gracious. Doesn't that look like the most interesting John Boyega film you've ever seen? John Boyega rarely gives a poor performance. I sure hope that we see that there. And there is a message from him at the end. Okay. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. I do remember that the film shows you a lot of imagery that is scary. And some of the places that the film goes, either in the cities or in the jungle or wherever, it's scary. It looks like you can't escape any of these places. Now, the other film that I was going to recommend that reminds me of this film, although it's not exactly done the same way, is a film called Identifying Features. And in that film, it's about a woman who is looking for her son. He was supposed to be coming home in a bus in Mexico, and he doesn't make it home. So she decides she's going to go search for him. She goes to the police. The police said, well, we think this is your son here. And they show her a random corpse. And she says, well, that's not my son. They said, yes, it is. And they use it sort of as a reason not to go looking for him. So she decides to go ahead and search for her son, and she finds him. And where she finds him, it's in a terrifying place. And this film reminds me of it in a way. So I did want to mention that. Certainly, it is wonderful that there is a message from Jim at the end of the film. And of course, one of the messages in the film is where they talk about how there are more people in bondage now than ever before. And it is certainly eye-opening. And certainly something that's disturbing. So I just want to thank all of you for being here. I did want to bring attention that it has made $124 million. It's still in the theaters, 3,200 screens, thanks to Phil letting me know. And go ahead and check it out if you haven't seen the film. It's called The Sound of Freedom. It's a wonderful film. It's an independent film. Certainly do check it out. It is worthwhile going to see. A film, another summer blockbuster in a summer that is quite surprising and feels like things are getting better and better. Let's hope that this WGA strike will be over soon and that they can come to an agreement. Let's hope everybody will go back to work again pretty soon, I hope. And thank you, Tom, for putting up the Burnettwork. Guys, make sure you subscribe to the Burnettwork and to my channel, Positive Fandom. Okay, so it was an end credit. Asked everyone to tell everyone about the movie and get the message out to download a QR code to buy tickets and pay it forward for people who can't afford it. Thank you, Mike, the popcorn porter, for mentioning that. And Scott says, thank you for coming to the movie. Well, thank you, Scott, for reminding me it was Cabrini, because I was excited to hear that they were doing a film about her. And it's so good that you are here, Scott. Thank you for your messages and comments. Yes, she was pressured. Mother in identifying features was pressured to say it was her son. And I don't remember what exactly the outcome was, whether she said yes or no. She realized that she would have to go on her own to find him. And it certainly is terrifying. Yes, Sean, let's just hope that it will. I'm hoping and praying that it will come to an agreement. Right, Sean? We want to keep it positive and hope that this will work out. Guys, make sure you like and subscribe to Tom Jr. Jackson's channel. He is a moderator here on the Burnettwork. You guys know him well. Tom is a gem. We are all goof people. Do like and subscribe to his channel as well. I hope I have this right. Yes. Yes, there is, you know something? Yes, it is. It is. And in this particular case, it's children. It's underage. It's killing me. Innocent children, in opposed to, let's say, Liam Neeson's character's daughter who gets kidnapped. She's also very young and innocent. But yes, it is like that. Yeah, we're all hoping that that will end as well. So for those of you who are in the stream, who work in the business, who I suspect many of you may work in the business, we are hoping that that ends soon and that things can get back to working order. That's how I would describe it. And let's see. So yes. Anyway, I was going to say, so in the case, since one of you had reminded me that it says to go ahead and pay it forward. I think it was Mike who says in the credit, everyone, tell everybody, get the message out, download the QR code to buy tickets and pay it forward to people who can't afford the ticket. Please go ahead and do that, guys. Certainly, it is important to get the message out about this film. It's so important. So I'm going to pretty much wrap this up. I did want to say, everybody, this is so important. This is so important. The topic in The Sound of Freedom, guys, and it is about, unfortunately, child abductions. So certainly we want to get the message out about this film, The Sound of Freedom. It's called Sound of Freedom because the main character rescues these children from these bondage situations. So it is a beautiful film. It's beautifully made. Here you can see the father with his son, and then of course Jim's character there about the movie. So all right, everybody, thank you for thanks for everything. That's okay. Hey, Planet Killer. Hi. How are you? Says, hey, Artem, I have many opinions on this film, but don't have enough writing space. But I'm glad you and the Burnettwork are reviewing it and acknowledge its impact and message. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I wanted to do this. It's a brief review, but I wanted to bring attention to it because it's not every day a film that costs $14 million makes $124 million. The only other movie I can think of this year that might have did this, it might not even have been this year. Smile did that fairly recently, and that was a different type of film. Everybody, wasn't it? It was very different. It was not a movie like The Sound of Freedom. So I think that this is a very special time for this film. Thank you, Phil, for everything. Guys, thank you for watching. Uh, and please think about joining the Post Geek Singularity, everybody. I think it's $1 a month, and you get to go to the member only calls if you want to and speak to Robert personally, if you like. But thank you for joining and watching this PGS moving image review of A Sound of Freedom, everybody. Certainly, thank you. And I hope you will join us next time, everybody. Thank you so much for everything. And guys, remember, no matter where you are in the galaxy, always remember to please be kind, everybody. Please be kind. Take care, everybody. Bye.